The next element, F, is the organization and responsibilities that the Electoral Trust would have. Obviously, that's self-evident, a boilerplate, and then the adherence under that, the adherence to existing law in the United States, to the voter registration. That means that the Electoral Trust would develop procedures for Americans to become voters for life, a registration process, because as you know right now, you can move from one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction, maybe across the street, and you got to re-register again. These are all machinations of representative government to make it difficult for people to participate in the process of representative government. The whole basis of direct democracy is to make it easy and comfortable to participate in your role as a citizen. That's the underlying basis of direct democracy. Now, under this, you have three: a drafting service, a research service. This again, as citizens, as a senator, I could tell my staff to contact the Congressional Drafting Service, and they would help me draft legislation so it's constitutional. They would have research that they could research questions so we could get proper answers to questions and guidance as to help us figure out what we need to do and what we want to do. And so that should be available to ordinary citizens. And so that's part of the service the Electoral Trust would provide. And then, of course, communications. We need to be able to provide, and this is the point I was raising earlier. When we need to have communications to such a degree that with every single initiative, the individual citizens at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level, that for each initiative that a citizen will receive in the mails a pamphlet that will define the text of each initiative, what the proponents say about it, what the opponents say about it, what is the environmental impact of this, what is the impact, the sociological impact, what's the economic impact, what is every facet of any impact of this initiative on your life. This will all be put forth before you in a pamphlet. They'll be able to design a TV program that will describe this and be played in prime time, that will be published in the newspapers of jurisdiction, that will be on radio programs, and this will all be presented to you 15 days before the initiative is put for a vote, but no earlier than 30 days. Because anybody in politics knows that people do not focus on initiatives prior to 10 days before it's up for election. So giving you information 6 months before the initiative is a dead letter. You won't focus on it before that. And like in one case in Oregon where they sent out they had 26 initiatives on the ballot, plus all of the candidates running for office. It was a book of over 300 pages. No legislative body would dare insult a legislator by putting that before you and having you vote seriatim on all of this. And yet representative government does that to citizens all the time. This would not happen under this procedure. We would have a lot more respect for the individual legislator under our form of direct democracy. So this is what Section 4 under F, communications, would respect your right to conveniently have communications. A citizen would have to be hiding under a rock to not know that there's an initiative coming before you for a decision to be made. That doesn't mean you have to vote. You may not care to vote about an initiative, but I'll tell you, if you don't vote and this initiative affects your life, maybe the next time you'll choose to vote. I've never been carried away with everybody has to vote. No, it's not that you have to vote. It's that when you do vote, are you knowledgeable enough to cast an intelligent vote? If you're just voting a bumper sticker or a slogan, it's not that meaningful that you do vote. Number 5 under the Electoral Trust's responsibilities is, of course, the hearing and the deliberative committee. As I stated earlier when we were talking about what the procedures that would be employed, of course, would be the hearings, and that's conducted by the Electoral Trust appointing a hearing officer, and then, of course, the deliberative committee. These are both activities that every legislative body performs, and that's how we would have the legislature of the people perform its deliberative functions, conducting a hearing and having a deliberative committee do the markup of legislation before it is sent to the relevant legislative body, federal, state, or local, for an advisory vote. After that is done, of course, it's put in a pipeline where the actual election is conducted by the Electoral Trust, and that election can be done, as I pointed out earlier, over a week's time, 24 hours a day. You can do it by calling up on a telephone, giving your PIN number, because you're registered for life now. So you'll have a PIN number, whatever the technology warrants. You can do it on your computer. You can be on vacation anywhere in the world. Call in and vote on. If it's a federal issue, you'd vote on a federal issue. You could vote on the state issue. Whatever the process is, you would be able to vote on it. Now, the other responsibility is, of course, the Electoral Trust would develop budgets for its operations and for all of its activities, and it would present this budget publicly that any citizen would be able to go on. Keep in mind, this will always have total transparency. So you'll go on the site, you'll be able to see what their budget is, what they've spent thus far at this point in time in the course of the year. It'll be a lot different than our present representative government budget, which deals in a great deal of obfuscation. Then the Appropriations Section 5 of the entire legislation is the appropriation process. And this sets it up where the government normally appropriates through the Congress, just like the Congress appropriates the money for itself, for the executive and for the judiciary. It would appropriate the money for the legislature of the people under its present process, and then it would set up process to appropriate the necessary money at the state, for the state operations and for the local operations. Then there's a severability clause so that this act, this is normal boilerplate in legislation. Now we come to the vital part of this whole electoral process, and that is the enactment of the National Initiative for Democracy.